Today, across the country, there are children spending the day in fear. Too frightened to go to school, too frightened to fight back, too frightened to tell anyone. Across the country today, children are being bullied.
As part of this morning Be a Kind campaign, we want you to watch this video with your children. You'll hear from two mums whose children took their own lives as a result of the bullying they experienced. Bullying that occurred in person and online.
17-year-old Felix Alexander used to be a normal, happy child. But one day, he left home and stepped out in front of a train. He endured cruel torments from bullies for years.
In February this year, 14-year-old Megan Evans killed herself after being inundated with bullying messages on Snapchat. Her parents had no idea she was being targeted.
Their interviews are hard to hear, but they are important. Their stories are a warning to parents, to children being bullied, and to those who take part in the bullying.
On April the 27th, 2016, our beautiful 17-year-old son took his own life. He decided to do this because he couldn't see a way to be happy. People who had never even met Felix were abusing him over social media, and he found that he was unable to make and keep friends, as it was difficult to befriend the most hated boy in the school. I write this letter not for sympathy, but because there are so many more children like Felix who are struggling, and we need to wake up to the cruel world we are living in. I'm appealing to children to be kind, always, never to stand by and leave bullying unreported. Be that one person prepared to stand up to unkindness. You'll never regret being a good friend. Our lives have been irrevocably damaged by the loss of our wonderful son. Please don't let it happen to any other family.
Well, Lucy is here now, and it's an extremely powerful letter. So it was in 2009, when he was 10, that this torment began. What was the first incident that you became aware of?
It was just little incidences of unkindness, little comments about, you know, why didn't he have this or why didn't he have that, not being invited to a party. It was more exclusion than anything else.
How did it get progressively worse?
He was called a name by somebody every day. Probably not the same person. Probably quite often the first time that person might have said anything, but it might have been the fifth time he'd heard it that day. He was alone at lunchtimes, he was alone at weekends. His social life was, you know, our family. And if he made a friend outside, it wouldn't be long before they'd get a text message or a Facebook message saying, what do you want to be friends with him for? He's the most hated boy in the school.
With the social media and that becoming into his life, it wasn't even like he could just leave it at the school gate. This was now in his home, in his bedroom, in his pocket.
Yeah, well, we tried to stop it being so much in the home, but that just excludes and isolates even more, because his generation, not so much with older children, but I think his year group particularly, that's the only way they communicate. They're not very good at communicating face to face. And
I don't want to dwell too much on the day when he took his own life, and that morning, and he was meant to be getting the bus to school, and he didn't go.
And he was meant to be catching the train, and he didn't get to school, and the school called me and said that somebody had seen him getting off a bus in a local village. And I knew that he knew some people in that village, so I thought that, because he'd been upset, so I thought maybe he'd gone to speak to this friend he had there. So we went to look for him.
And yeah, no, that's fine. We know what happened the rest of that day.
Had you had no inkling that day?
No.
That's what he would do. And if for anybody, and I'm going to have to say it for anybody who missed it, but he threw himself in front of the train.
Yeah.
But there was no indication, nothing that had said that any day was going to be any sadder than the day before.
No, and we talked, you know, in a general sense about suicide before. And he'd said to me, I don't worry, Mum, I'd never do that, because I'm not brave enough.
It's still so incredibly raw.
Yeah.
For you and your family.
Yeah.
Which is why you wrote the letter.
Yeah, it's been running around in my head for, you know, every time I take the dog for a walk, the words were in my head. And I desperately need to raise awareness. I desperately need for people to talk about this, to talk to their children.
In your letter, there was the word that is repeated all the way through, and you talk about a lot, is kindness.
Yeah, it's really simple. Just be kind.
What sort of a girl was Megan?
Megan was bright. She was vivacious. She was happy. She was hugely popular. She was sporty. She was just a normal, happy-go-lucky teenager.
And you describe it as almost like her living a double life, because to you and the rest of the family, as you've just described this girl, very different to this other side of her life that she was going through, because you really didn't see any signs of anything.
I didn't see anything out of the ordinary with her, aside from she'd have her moments where she was moody, but then, you know, what teenagers...
doesn't.
Was she
Yeah.
secretive? With the
She was secretive. If I took her phone off her for any reason, then she would log out of all her apps. You know, she'd delete messages. She wouldn't leave her phone laying around. She would have it with her all the time.
You were with the younger children out of the house, and she'd gone missing for a little short period of time, hadn't she?
She had, yeah. Megan liked to take a bath, and she would take a long bath. So nobody thought anything different of it at the time, until they went to get her to... They were actually going to go in the hot tub, and they wanted to see if she wanted to go in with them, and they couldn't.
Found her.
Yeah.
What did you discover afterwards that you didn't know before?
There was... A few of her friends contacted me and had said that she was being relentlessly bullied via social media with... I think sometimes physical bullying would be a bit easier to spot, but this was relentless day, night, in the middle of the night when she took her phone to bed. It was... we discovered she was getting messages all through the night, and it was just cruel, evil words.
There was one final message, wasn't there?
There was, yeah.
The final message was, "Why don't you hang yourself?"
Yeah.
And she texted back, "Okay."
Okay, yeah.
Oh, my goodness me. I don't know.
Lucy, this is a similar sort of situation to you and your lovely Felix. It's getting us all, I have to say. It's like death by 1,000 cuts, isn't it?
Children are very cruel to each other, and they don't see that their words have an impact. If it's done so remotely, they remove themselves from the effect, and they need to understand the cause and effect and what happens to that person and how it can just destroy them inside.
But there are so many lives destroyed by this, because for you and your family, the impact of this, that you have to pick yourself up and go on. For the person that wrote that message, I know they're probably so far from your mind at the moment, but they don't realise the impact of that. She has to live with that for the rest of her life, of what she's done. I mean, these small messages, these small things that people throw out there, they don't realise the danger.
Be that one person in a group chat who says, hold on, that's not right. You can't say that.
Yeah.
Turn the tide of the conversation.
The tragedy also is that Megan was that person.
I was just about to say, Megan, yeah, she was that person. She was, which makes it so difficult for us and everybody who knew her to understand why she did what she did. She was always helping other people. I had a little boy who posted a note through my door, a handwritten little note, and he said he's so sorry for Megan. She helped him when he was being bullied, and he wasn't there for her. And also my younger daughter, her and her friends, if anything was happening in school, they were having a hard time, they would all go to Megan. Megan was the go-to girl to sort stuff out.
What advice could you give to families who are watching this?
Nobody knows what goes on in somebody else's head, and be careful, because words can't be taken back, and words can kill.
Well, those interviews are very hard to hear, very hard for us to do ourselves, but the stories are incredibly important. Please hit the pledge button below this video. Pledge to watch it again with your children. We know the first step to tackle the bullies is to talk about it and to ask for help.
If your child knows that bullying is taking place, tell them how important it is to be kind. Never turn a blind eye to bullying. In the words of Felix's mum, be that one person prepared to stand up to unkindness.
And if you're being bullied, remember, help is out there. Don't be afraid to talk. It will get better.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And today I want to talk about the ITV This Morning Be Kind campaign. As somebody who has autism and chronic anxiety disorder, I feel that this is a really important topic to discuss and support, and ITV have done this marvellous campaign to stamp out bullying with regards to children and adults. And also this relies on to social media as well, not just Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all your basic social media platforms that young people and adults alike like me use on a daily basis to get my message of autism awareness out there. As a local autism campaigner and autism speaker and an autistic female in my local hometown, I feel that this is a very important topic to bring up right now and discuss, and especially in the recent passing of TV personality and presenter Caroline Flack. And she got badly trolled, harassed by the news media and trolls behind a keyboard online. And sadly, she made the sad decision to take her life. And this should not have happened. This should have been avoided. And I'm sorry that she felt she had no way out but to take her own life. Caroline, I hope that you are at peace. I hope that you're not struggling anymore. I'm very sorry for your family and your friends. My prayers and thoughts are with your friends and family at this difficult time. And I hope that they can find answers and get the help and support that they so nearly deserve. And I hope they get closure. So yeah, I just thought I'd talk about the support for people, or lack of support I should say. As someone with autism like myself, who relies on social media every day because it's part of my work, it's part of what I do, I'm an autistic female and I go onto social media every day. I get harassed, I get bullied, I've been name called, I've been trolled in my live streams because people think it's funny to call you names. They think it's funny to make you feel absolute worthless and rubbish and knock your confidence to a point where you almost don't want to be here, where you almost want to give up doing what you're doing. But people like me who are out there doing a good thing, out there doing something that they are passionate about, they should not be knocked for it. They should be supported, and there should be that support in place to support them. And unfortunately, people like Caroline and many others do not have that support. They were failed by the system, they were failed by their management, they were failed by people who should have been there for them. And I know that Caroline had her issues, and I know that she was suffering from forms of depression and things, but again, this comes back to supporting people, because you never know what's going on inside somebody's head. You never know what they're going through personally and physically. When you're getting bullied, you don't really know the impact of it unless you go through it and you see it happening to somebody. These bullies, they hide behind the keyboard, the press. They are the most biggest bullies on the planet. They will write stories that aren't often true. They will spin a lie for a cheap sell and a cheap buck or a cheap pound, regardless on what story it is, if it's true or not. The damage of your words is absolutely lethal. You have no idea of how much you impact somebody's life by the lies, the pressure, the constant hounding, the name calling, trying to get people to speak against them. When will you stop? Take a look at yourselves and realise what you're doing is making people want to take their own lives. This has to stop. It needs to stop now. This is not allowed to continue. People like me are high risk when it comes to this kind of stuff because I have autism, I have anxiety disorder. People like us should not be targeted. People without disability should not be targeted. Bullying is wrong. It's dangerous. It's sad. It's not needed. We should be kind. Consider what your words, what you say to people. Be kind. Take the time to understand somebody. Be there for them. Ask them if they're okay. Help them deal with things that they may not talk to you about. Get the truth out of them. Being kind is the most professional thing that you can do. Your words and actions define you. I'm going to put this out there to the trolls, to the media, as someone who's locally active in her local media herself. Be kind with what you say. Don't twist things. Don't put lies out there. Don't put these false stories out there that have no proof, because you are damaging people's reputations. You are damaging people's mental health, physical health, emotional health. Think about what you are doing. Be kind. It doesn't take much to support somebody. Be kind, please. I'm begging you. Do not spread these lies and vile accusations out that you have no proof of. You are invading their personal life. They deserve to have a private life away from the press. Yes, they may be a personality on the TV for This Morning or ITV, Love Island, or anything else of that nature. Leave them be. Let them have their private lives away from the media. Don't constantly hound them. And because you don't know the impact of these people, they are getting to such a point they feel they have no way out. I have actually attached the ITV This Morning Be Kind campaign video as the introduction to this video. So I hope that you will watch that and share that out and let people know that bullying must end now. It is not good enough. This needs to end. It will not end until there is more blood on their hands. Please stop this bullying. Stop the trolling. Please just be kind. Be considerate. Listen. Be a supportive friend. Don't sit here and be a troll. Don't sit here and be a hater, because your words hurt. Your words impact the person so much so that it takes a toll on their mental health. And for someone like me, it is dangerous. You do not know the damage you are doing to me and people like me who are on social media doing a good thing. Please stop. And yeah, that's all I have to say on this subject. Just please think about your words. Think about what you are saying. If you don't think that you should be on social media, get off. Don't be on here. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this deep video, and please give it a like, share, subscribe to my channel for more content, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.